Hello, I'm Molly Hughes in the Denver Post newsroom with today's Behind the Headlines. If you haven't seen the Denver Post's multimedia presentation about the Adams City football team, you may want to check it out. It includes a documentary by videographer Aaron Ontiveros, who spent 3 months following and documenting the story of the team, their fight to win on and off the field. Adams City had the longest losing streak in Colorado for 8 years straight. That is, until coach Dan Jajczyk came along and took over this past season. The documentary was so compelling, I just had to meet the man behind the idea that everything matters. Adams City head football coach Dan Jajczyk joins us now. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I wanted to get to know you a little bit myself because I was so compelled after the video and wanted other people to be inspired by you as well. What were you thinking when a Denver Post videographer comes along saying he wants to document the worst team in Colorado?
Well, it was kind of neat. I mean, I thought he was just going to do something short, a short story. So initially at the first practice, I allowed him to stay, and then we just talked afterward, and I found out he had a little more in mind than that.
And what is the idea, first of all? The whole thing is titled Everything Matters. What does that mean?
It was kind of a slogan that we had adopted throughout the course of the season, through the spring and the summer, and just to try to get the boys to understand that everything they did, no matter what they did on the field, off the field, in the classroom, that everything mattered in life.
And actually, Aaron was telling me you didn't put the emphasis on winning, but rather being good people, being good, having good character.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We talk a lot about doing the right things in life and being a good person, and the score of a game will take care of itself. If you're working hard and trying to do everything you can to be successful, then you know, good things are going to happen.
For those who may not be familiar with the Adams City School District and Adams City 13, explain about the day-to-day challenges your players are dealing with.
You know, a lot of them come from broken homes, or, you know, single parents, or a lot of them raise their, you know, siblings. There are a number of them that are undocumented and just go through those kind of struggles in life. And so it's amazing to see how they respond and believe in themselves once you get somebody with them that'll teach them to believe in themselves and go forward.
It's interesting to see their transformation over watching
Absolutely.
the documentary. And I understand you too had some challenges when you were younger, and you turned things around in your own life. What was it? Was there a pivotal moment or an experience that had you turn things around?
Well, I think that that's kind of why I connect with them, because I did have a storied life when I was younger, and grew up in the early 70s and made some poor choices. And there just came a time in my life when I realized that I needed to make the right choices and get my act together, so to speak. And I believe that's maybe a strength that I have now, how I can connect with them and try to give them a little bit of guidance on what to avoid and what to look at.
Was there one pivotal experience or one person who you encountered that really made a light bulb go off for you?
Not really. I think it was just I was in the Air Force, and I had gotten married and started having children, and just kind of decided that, you know, I needed to be a father and a husband, and leave a lot of the childish things behind, and, you know, not be so selfish, so to speak.
So you have been assistant coach at Eagle Crest, Chaparral, Overland, some pretty big programs. What in the world inspired you to go to Adams City?
I think it was the challenge of the boys, and I was working out there at the time because I work as a supervisor of security for the school, and just getting to know the boys and seeing that, oh, this could be a place that could make a difference in some, you know, lives of the boys, and I think that they bought into that, and that was a really exciting thing. And you know, everybody needs somebody to care for them, and I think those boys just needed someone to show them that they were important and they were valued.
Yeah, in watching it all and reading about it, I really got the feeling that you are the father figure to many of these boys. Do you see it that way?
I don't know if I see it that way. I think that some of the boys have told me that. I just see myself as a mentor and a guider, you know, and try to give them a little bit of a perspective that that I know that they see and what is reality. You know, we started the season with, you know, changing reality. And that's kind of where Everything Matters came from too. And I think those boys just needed somebody to give them a little bit of that insight.
Are you finding that when you have expectations, or anyone has expectations of kids, they rise to the occasion? Is that kind of the philosophy you're working with?
Absolutely, absolutely. They will rise to the occasion as long as they know that they can trust you and they believe in what your message is.
Was it hard to build trust with some of these guys?
It was. There were some times because a lot of them didn't even trust each other, let alone themselves or other people. And because of the history of the school, there were people that had given them reason not to trust. And so I was just trying to, I guess, rebuild that or soothe that over, however you want to say it. But that was kind of a challenge.
Okay, so there's one scene when Juan was missing.
Yes.
And you guys were all I don't know, was it before practice? Or?
No, it was pregame.
Okay.
It was pregame. He had missed the pregame meal, and we were doing our pregame routine.
Okay, so you're talking to the team before the game, and you're talking about how Juan has been missing, and you're all worried about him, and nobody knows why. And then Juan comes walking in the door, and when some people may have wanted to wring his neck, you gave him a hug. How are you able to stay in that space of loving and forgiveness so often when you're dealing with so many challenges with these kids?
I think that's what we're meant to do. You know, I mean, everybody makes mistakes and everybody has, you know, challenges in life. And, you know, I felt like I was just compelled to do that because that's what was necessary. You know, Juan is a great kid. He had never missed a practice. He had never been, you know, anywhere. I mean, it was unlike him to be tardy or missing pregame festivity, so to speak. So, you know, for that, it was a big moment to where a lot of us were very relieved. I think you saw that in a lot of the players' faces too. They wanted to know where he was, and it was kind of. He comes from a pretty bad. I don't want to say bad. Let me rephrase that. Okay. He comes from a pretty challenging background, and you know, came here undocumented, and he raises his two siblings, and you know, just it's an amazing story of an amazing young man. And so, yeah, he's a big part of what we do, and he's been a big part of what we do since the beginning.
Is there a coach who you look up to, who you look to follow in their footsteps and use their models?
There's been a number of coaches. I mean, I've read a lot of stuff from Coach John Wooden, which a lot of people have, but there's Gordy Gillespie is probably my favorite, and a lot of people don't know who he is, but he's the head coach of Rudy. And I had an opportunity to meet him on a number of occasions, and very inspiring man, and all about you know, trust and believing in oneself, and the sky's the limit. It just makes the decision has to be made by the boy.
I really picked up on the fact that you seem to have a very strong Catholic faith.
Yes.
And I noticed the kids praying before the games and at various times. Is that something that you instilled? Was that their idea, your idea? How'd that come about?
They've kind of taken that on their own. I mean, I live out my faith, and that's a very I feel very blessed to be able to do that. And I think leading by example is more important than saying things to the boys. So for me, you know, that was just something that they know I do. They know they've seen me pray. They've talked to me about it. They've asked me about it. And I don't pressure them or force them to do anything. And they just decided to do that on their own. And that means something, because then they're making decisions to change. They're making decisions to do things in a unified manner.
Mm-hmm. What keeps you going?
My faith every day. You know, I feel very, very blessed. I mean, Jesus Christ is big in my life, and he's my Savior, not just my Lord, but he's my brother too, and my friend, and that's very important. And I believe through my Catholic faith, I have the opportunity to live that out each day. And that's a great, great responsibility, but also a great, great blessing and a grace.
What's the hardest part of working with these kids?
You know, sometimes you get tired, you get frustrated, but you've got to be patient. You know, there's some other stories in the documentary where you just have to be patient. And the hardest thing for me was having to have a couple of them that were dismissed from the team, because you never want to lose anybody. And you always want to give them an opportunity to be successful. But they have to also understand that they make choices, and there's consequences for those choices.
What would you be doing if you weren't coaching?
I have no idea. I have no idea. This is what I've meant to do, and I love to do it, and I don't think of doing anything else.
Is there anything you want the community to know about Adams City and the players there?
I don't think there's anything specific. It's just, you know, it's a great community, and there's a lot of great leadership out there. That whole school district is doing a lot of good stuff, and from the superintendent on down to the administrative team at the high school. And these kids are buying in, and they're trying to change, and you know, that's a big deal. And there's a lot of them that have never believed they could be successful, you know, and I think that they've kind of accepted that. And I think that we just all need to rally and let them know that, you know, they're valued.
So in 8 years, you had won how many games? Or before you got there,
Yeah.
in 8 years, they had won fewer than 4 games.
Yeah, I think it was 4-76. Someone told me, and so they'd only won 4 games in 8 years.
And so how did the season end for you guys?
We were 4-6. We were 4-6. So it was a great season. You know, as a football coach, wasn't good enough, but we're gonna have to improve on that next year. But it's for the community and for the kids and for everybody involved. What an awesome turnaround, and it's going the right direction, and that's most important.
Do you worry about what happens with these children when you're not seeing them every day and, you know, in between now and next season?
Absolutely. But, you know, you try to stay in touch with them. I mean, there's great coaches out there besides just football. We have a great wrestling program. We've got a new basketball coach. We've got a new athletic director who's only been there a short period of time, and we're trying to change some things there. So I stay in touch with them. In fact, last Saturday I went out and watched a few of them wrestle. And so you just try to stay connected. Because you don't want to lose touch with them. But yeah, you worry about them constantly, or at least I do. You know, how they're doing at home, you know, and I check up on them from time to time.
Any updates to report for us on anyone?
No necessary updates. I mean,
Okay.
you know, just we're getting ready for our banquet this weekend, so I'm kind of excited about that, and I've been putting a lot of energy into that.
Well, congratulations on all the great work. I know just by watching it all and reading about it, it takes a lot of patience and a special person.
Well, thank
do
you
what you're
very
doing.
much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Coach Dan Jajczyk, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. So you can see the entire documentary and the multimedia presentation by our Denver Post staff. Go to extras.denverpost.com and click on Everything Matters. I think if you do that, you'll see why I wanted to get to know the coach who is changing lives. That'll do it for today's Behind the Headlines. I'm Molly Hughes in the Denver Post newsroom with DPTV.